Silicon Valley Future Forum.
Hi, I'm back. I'm JeanCarl Bisson, developer advocate at IBM. So I'm going to go a little bit more technical on you. Don't get scared. There's only a drone, a bot. Nothing's going to get hurt or injured. Well, except the last time. But don't worry. The front row is the only one who will have the participation of getting injured. Nah. So I'm going to drop into Bluemix and explain a little bit more about what the Bluemix platform can do for a developer, and then show you two examples of apps that we have built. So as a developer, you want to get up and running quickly in the cloud, and as a main focus, you want to write code and not worry about infrastructure, making sure servers or the AI components are running full time. So IBM has IBM Bluemix, or cloud platform, and it takes care of the whole spectrum of what a developer may need, from Git repos, DevOps experience, to the runtimes, and then all the way up to the AI component. So Bluemix is based on 3 different flavors. There's the public cloud, there's the dedicated, where you're the only one on the instance, and then there's the on-prem solution, Bluemix Local. And this is really important for those who have security issues with your information and you want to store it in a certain location or have full control over it behind your firewall. We're based on open source technologies. You'll notice IBM is a huge contributor to a lot of open source projects, including Docker, Cloud Foundry, and OpenStack. OpenWhisk is our serverless environment. So I'm a cheap developer. I don't want to pay for anything. So as long as my application isn't being run, I don't want to, or being used, I don't want to pay for it. So OpenWhisk, the serverless environment where you can run your code at any time on demand, is just perfect for that need. So then there's over 130 services and APIs available in the Bluemix catalog. We have a ton of partners, including Twilio, PubNub, Kinetize, and even Apple. We have Swift support. And then your applications. So basically, whatever language you want to write, we support that. So Swift, Python, Ruby, Go, PHP, and Java. There's also other languages that Cloud Foundry supports, and you can use build packs to support that. If you want to support Docker images and containers, we support that, and Kubernetes we have recently started supporting. Then you have the DevOps Tool tooling and API management. So if you have a lot of data that you want to expose as APIs, we have a whole API Connect service that lets you monetize, control access, and basically host your APIs in a scalable way. You click on the catalog, and you have access to all these services right off the bat. So you have your applications, runtimes, Docker, containers, databases, and Watson. So you click on any of these services, click on the View Docs, and you can start playing around with the demo. So I talked this morning about natural language understanding. This service lets you put in a body of text and get insights into concepts, entities, keywords, categories, and other pieces of content just based on the content you pass in. So sentiment. Sentiment's a really important thing, maybe in a customer service agent experience where when you're tweeting at a customer service Twitter handle and you're saying, I don't like this product. You want to pick up that negative sentiment before something goes wrong. You also have emotion. So joy, anger, disgust, sadness, and fear. You can see how prevalent each of these emotions are within that content. Keywords. So what was the most prevalent things being talked about in this content? For this example, desert ship. a rugged Colorado desert, and librarian Myrtle bots. What kind of objects? So we recognize people, geographic features, locations, and many other factors. Categories. If you want to sort content into certain categories, we provide you a taxonomy. What concepts are being mentioned? All this is available via an API that returns JSON for a developer to use right off the bat. We have an SDK for each of these Watson services in each of those languages I mentioned earlier that you can work with right off the bat. Another favorite one is personality insights. So when you're marketing to someone or wanting to understand how who the customer is, you can also pass in content written firsthand by that user and understand their personality. So we have a couple of different ways to demo this. I'm going to analyze Oprah's Twitter account. Basically, behind the scenes, we're just collecting the tweets, combining them together into a body of text, and then analyzing that. You can analyze any body of text that you want. So you'll see on the left side, there's the big 5 personality traits: agreeableness, conscientiousness, openness, introversion, extroversion, and emotional range. Each of these has a subcategory that provides you even more attributes and clarity in each of these big 5. The other 2 columns, consumer needs and values. This, as a consumer, what do I need or what do I value in a product? This is incredible insights that if you have a product you're trying to market to, you want that information. And since all this information on Twitter is publicly accessible, why not use that in your organization? All right. So I have a mobile application. It looks like this on my phone, but because I need to show you, I'm going to let you see how this works. And I'm going to come up to this TJBot. And you might have noticed a couple of these toys I brought up. So yes, this is part of our job. We get to play with all these toys, connect them to the Watson services, and come out and showcase them. So this is a cardboard box called TJBot. This was another colleague of mine's project. She wanted to design an object and add cognitive capabilities to it. And so you can either laser cut or 3D print this design. It's all open source on GitHub, ibmtjbot.github.io. So once you print out and fold the TJBot, it's running a Raspberry Pi with a servo on the right side for the arm and an LED light for the on top. So things that we can use: tone analyzer, Watson conversation, speech text, text-to-speech. And these capabilities are available to you as a developer to use in whatever application. So I'm going to pull out my phone. And the first thing is I'm going to analyze the motion. And using the tone analyzer service, I can, I feel very happy to speak on stage. And that's showing up live. Yep. All right, so I'm going to analyze this via the tone analyzer service. And you can see on the right side, tone analysis shows a lot of joy, a little bit of disgust, and very little sadness. So it turns green to show it's happy, or yellow, joy, yellow. So you can see how you can change the cognitive toy to be interactive on whatever natural language. We can also have it wave. So wave your arm. And I'll process that through Watson Conversation. And for those who might not be able to see this, let's try this again. it's going to wave. Now that was not a command I passed it. It was the unstructured text, wave your arm. I've used Watson Conversation by training it to understand what waving is, and the arm is an object. So you can see the intent is wave, and as a developer, I can then control the arm to move. So there's many other things that you can use speech to text. So you can plug in a microphone, speak to it, or you can even play a response back using text-to-speech. Very simple, very quick. And as a developer, I can focus more on the code experience. All right, so the next demo I want to show is I have this drone that I won at a hackathon a couple of years ago, and I've been kind of scared to fly this. I either get hurt or someone else gets hurt. And so I've taken the propellers off so I don't even activate it and cause disaster, cause a big liability issue, right? So this is a Bebop drone. It's about 2 years old, so it's not the most newest drone out there, but that's fine. You can empower it using the Watson services. All right, so how do you fly this in the cloud? Well, Bluemix is our cloud offering. Watson is in the cloud, so we're almost there, right? The question is, what does data look like in the cloud? This is the schematics of how this whole project has come about. So we got the Bebop drone connected to a Raspberry Pi over an FTP connection, and then it will go up into the cloud and be analyzed. So simple, you can connect it, have the Raspberry Pi connected to the private Bebop Wi-Fi network and FTP. So this is Node.js code, very simple, about 40, 50 lines of code in all to download the image. It connects to the 192.168.42.1 address, downloads all the images locally on the Raspberry Pi, and then disconnects. So you can imagine when this lands, it'll be in range of the Wi-Fi network, auto-connect, and then spawn this Node.js application. Simple output. Again, each image is outputted. The next component is object storage and using the Cloudant NoSQL database. So the first component is going to be uploading all the images to our object storage in the Bluemix platform. And so you can see the save to object storage will upload each of these files and then return a URL to the publicly accessible file in the object storage. From there, I put it into a Cloudant document for each of these images and then disconnect. Some more ugly outputs. Again, the softlayer.com address is our object storage, and then the output of OK, ID, and rev are the Cloudant document output. Great. So now we have a simple Cloudant document with a URL for each of these images. And this is the most exciting point that I've had with Bluemix, is having OpenWhisk take over. So like I said, I'm cheap. I don't want to run anything if I don't have to and pay for it. So that's where OpenWhisk will only start running when there is something happening. So I have a OpenWhisk action here. Let's focus on visual recognition first. So visual recognition is going to classify each of these images based on a URL that I provide, and that's going to be retrieved from the object storage instance I have. It's going to classify that image, return those classifiers, put that into a Cloudant document, and store that back into the Cloudant instance I have. Now, the secret part of this is the trigger, that when the Cloudant document gets added to the database, this OpenWhisk action gets triggered, and it will call the analyze photo OpenWhisk action and then start processing that code. Cool. So that kind of takes care of object storage, OpenWhisk, and visual recognition. Now the last part is, so what have I ended up with in the Cloudant NoSQL database? Each of these documents contains that URL and those classes that I can then parse out in any way I want. All right, so the next part is the front-end service. So there's many ways you can go about using this data now that you've analyzed and classified these images. So I built a quick Angular application using the Node.js backend in Bluemix, and it just basically pulls each of these images into the HTML web page, and then I can click on one of these images and classify that. And you can see on the top right, I'm searching for roof and whatnot. So I'll jump back down one last time to show you a live demo of that front end. So let's see. I have a couple of pictures of San Francisco. So I have a sidewalk, and I can search for sidewalks and see all these different sidewalks. The crosswalk could be another option. You can even see some construction scenes that it can classify. What you can then do, and this is kind of what I'm looking at to do next, is to classify the different situations. And a fellow colleague, Andrew Trice, took a bigger drone, and he was analyzing roof conditions and taking a photo of a roof and figuring out which parts of the roof are damaged. So you can, in that situation, you basically take that image, break it down into smaller quadrants, and analyze each one of those. And by using visual recognition, you can train the Watson service to recognize your own classes. So if you want to train Watson with dry conditions or wet conditions, maybe in a forest, we're in an extreme fire zone here in the Santa Clara Valley. You can take a photo and understand which parts of these hills are at the most extreme fire danger. So this could be one potential thing that you could expand on the Acme drone service. Or as I was taking these pictures last week, I was realizing that there's a lot of dirty streets. Could we actually fly this drone around, taking photos, recognizing the dirty streets, and then perhaps connecting it to maybe the San Francisco Open Data API to see if there's a way we can clean up. All right, so I will put up my contact info one last. All right, that's my contact info. Thank you very much.
Silicon Valley Future Forum.